I am Rente Cosplay.
I am Quirky Owl Cosplay.
And we're gonna get into news and stuff.
News and stuff! Yeah! So, starting us off today, literally today while we are filming this, Captain Marvel, the trailer, just dropped earlier this morning. And oh boy, is it crazy. I'm very excited about it. I know, like, the music, the intensity of just the clips, and I was just like, more. More.
Definitely. Now, I don't know a whole ton about Captain Marvel, but man, oh man, does she look gorgeous in her outfit. I love the actress choice. Yes. Everything is just so perfect, and I'm very excited to dive into Captain Marvel a bit more.
I wonder how many people Google searched who Captain Marvel is after this trailer.
I know I did.
See? And you know what? There's nothing to be ashamed about that because honestly, get a little bit of background now. More hype builds, anticipation, Marvel marketing knows.
Exactly.
Leading into that, speaking of more filming news, what else just dropped today?
We also had the Avatar live action. Now we're seeing the Avatar The Last Airbender hosted by Nickelodeon and Netflix. And we have the original creators also working on it, which is fantastic. It gives me a little more hope because we're sticking more closely to the creator's vision. Now another thing about this is they're going to be doing color accurate. That is something I really like. They're going to have characters who look like the original characters, no more whitewashing, and this is a thumbs up, but I really like that.
I don't know, I'm not about that. That is amazing. I'm just hesitant because some animations, TV shows or films, I'm always hesitant with live action. Death Note and The Full Metal Alchemist by Netflix were two that kind of flopped for me. So I'm anxious because it's so dear and close to my childhood self that I'm like I'm hopeful. I'm sincerely hopeful. If they nail this, then freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm like,
Now, we saw a preview picture of it, which intrigued me. Now, we saw Appa and Aang.
We think it's Aang.
We think it's Aang. It looks like Aang. It's a tiny, tiny figure, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I really like how Appa looks.
True.
I'm a big fan of the CGI, but I mean, of course, we only have a picture to go off of right now, so that's kind of what we have to work with. We're gonna have to see
more.
Yeah.
More. In video game news, which is definitely up our alley, we both enjoy video games, and I'm personally really excited for Nintendo, because Nintendo dropped Isabelle in Smash. I love my precious little Isabelle baby. And along with that, literally right after leading into it was Nook sitting at a desk like, oh man, she's so busy, I guess I'm gonna have to help run this place again. Animal Crossing on Switch. I was like, oh.
Yeah, now I originally didn't hear this news until just recently. I found out because there's an incredibly large amount of memes online with Isabelle, and my goodness. Now, I wasn't a big Animal Crossing person, but now I definitely am.
Intrigued.
Memes always reeled me in, so.
And that's how it works. She's holding Cloud Stripe's giant sword, gives him a flower crown. I'm like, that's our girl.
Oh yeah. In other video game news, we saw some new skins released for a certain popular game.
Are you talking about the ever so popular MOBA League of Legends?
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Now tell us a little bit about what we saw recently.
So we have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skins?
I think so.
I believe so, yeah, 5 skins. We have Jinx, we have Malphite, we have Ziggs,
and
Yasuo, and
yes.
Zane? Zane, yes.
Zane, yeah.
Zane, the Reaper dude. And Odyssey is based off of, I believe, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I assume that as well.
And along with those skins, one, they're beautiful, and the amount of cosplays that are going to come out of it is madness. There was also a new map gameplay, which is really simple. You essentially go into this planet, a map, and you have to go and fight off the wildlife to gain coins and parts and resources to fix your crash-landed ship. That also sounds very reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh yeah.
But it's beautiful and it looks amazing.
Gorgeous concepts. Everyone was raging about them. I'm gonna buy them.
Right? I already have the Jinx one, no shame.
Yeah. I've got all the Yasuo skins, might as well go get this one.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in other skin-related news, we also have Overwatch. Halloween is coming soon, so we're gonna be seeing another batch of Halloween skins. And now, of course, as every good event, we get leaks before they're supposed to be released. So we saw, something we can maybe guess, see what we're gonna happen.
Some good theories going around.
Now, we're gonna be seeing the Halloween thing happen maybe about second week of October, yeah. Because that's how it was last year as well, so we all assume it's gonna be happening the 9th, 10th, 11th, something around that.
Consistent.
Now we do know there's gonna be a Demon Hanzo skin, and that's something we already see, and it's gorgeous, fantastic.
On board.
There's a Spider Queen, which is interesting. We know all the names of these characters, but we don't know who they belong to just yet. Now, everyone always assumes, Widowmaker. She's a spider, a widow. People fail to think that there is a certain quadruped named Aritza.
Oh my god,
and
that'd be so cool.
she would be perfect to play the role of a spider. Now, there's another skin which we think might be for Widowmaker. Now, there is a Bride skin gonna be coming out.
Right. Probably more so inspired by Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, seeing how Widowmaker is a widow.
Of course. And because of her already, purple colored skin, she's very reminiscent.
Just make her blue tinted and you're fine. Take out the red.
Exactly. And I would love to see that, of course. Now for the ghost, a lot of people were saying that it could be Sombra. Now, here's where I'm a little iffy on that, because she already has like a Day of the Dead skin, skulls and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna kind of repeat something similar. I feel like that should go to someone else. But currently, there's kind of no one in mind for that. Now with the slasher skin, a lot of people were saying Roadhog, and I mean, it's a possibility. Zenyatta has 2 Halloween skins as well, but he has the Junkenstein's monster skin, which is such a big main skin.
That's true.
Which makes me think that he's not gonna get another Halloween skin, at least for now.
So who do you think it might be?
Now, it could be Reinhardt.
Ooh, he's a big guy as well. That's true.
Exactly.
Kind of put him more into a menacing position.
And we haven't seen a Halloween skin from him.
Oh my God,
and he kind of reminds me of, a lumberjack. Right? A big axe or something. So maybe a slasher skin could be like some evil lumberjack. Exactly.
The Canadian Horror Story, you ran out of maple syrup, he's coming to get yours.
Exactly. And yeah, that's something we're going to be seeing soon. We're probably going to see some of that next week.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Coming up next, we got a little sneaky peek from Fan Expo. We had some fun interviews. We have Jim Zub, who is a writer for comic books, and Michael Del Mundo, who is an artist for comic books. We're going to get a little sneak peek with Jim on his Champions 24 comic book, and with Mike on a little poster from some certain sewer-dwelling turtles.
Ooh,
So
that sounds familiar.
here you go.
Hey, it's Andre at the Lunchbox, and at Fan Expo, like I said, I get to run into a lot of my friends. And here's Jim Zub, who I've known for ages, and this guy is writing up a storm. He's got books at Marvel, he's got books at Image, and he's just got a crossover featuring Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons. That is right, Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons. So Jim, first, tell us how you got that gig, because that's super cool.
Oh, thank you. I've been writing the Dungeons & Dragons comics since the launch of 5th edition D&D, and so the only press people, I think, in the IDW, people went out for dinner last year, and were throwing wild ideas out, and someone said, Rick and Morty, Dungeons & Dragons, and everyone laughed, and then it just stuck in their craw, like they couldn't get it out.
Well, that's I can
It's a
picture
weird
that,
combo,
though,
right?
But it's cool.
Yeah, so the editor said, is this something you might be interested in? I said, oh, hell yeah, but it'll never happen. You'll never be able to get approval from Adult Swim and Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. And slowly but surely, they chipped away at it.
And the pieces of the puzzle all fit.
It all fits together.
Wow.
And so it's Pat Rothfuss and I co-writing, and then the amazing Troy Little is drawing it.
Awesome.
And we get to just indulge all of our insane nostalgia for Dungeons & Dragons and make this weird, twisted, warped love letter to tabletop gaming.
Well, that's pretty cool because, like you said, you've written the D&D comics for a while.
Yeah.
You got Minsk and Boo,
That's
but
right.
you've also loved D&D yourself and kind of poured some of that into Skull Kickers, which is one of your first series.
Yeah, Skull Kickers was like my love letter to Dungeons & Dragons and everything I liked about it when I was 9 or 10 years old. And getting to actually now work on the official D&D stuff, thanks to Skull Kickers, it just feels like this weird full circle thing where all my 10-year-old me is just on a constant sugar high of Dungeons & Dragons. It's good stuff.
It's kind of cool because all the things you did growing up, now you get to play as an adult, and hard work's paying off because you're writing for some of the top companies, and one of them's Marvel, and you get to play with the teenage superhero team's champions.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work on that book?
Sure. So I took over Champions with issue 19. So Mark Waid and Humberto Ramos were previously on the book, so we picked up the torch from them. So it's Sean Isaac and I, and we've been doing this run where we're sort of retooling the team. We've added Ironheart and the Wasp to the team. We've been sort of really doing classic kind of superhero stuff, but also trying to mix it up. So we've got a storyline where we had the Man-Thing show up, and you're like, the Man-Thing with these teen heroes? Yep, there's a fun way we can sort of do a twist on it. Or just trying to do stories that harken back to the kind of like classic superhero story stuff that I think is really important. And contrasting like serious stories with fun stories. And you never quite know what you're gonna get, but it's always gonna be like a rich kind of fun experience overall.
But also it's cool because you get to really write from a teenager's perspective because these are the young heroes.
Absolutely.
And I know in one of the upcoming issues you're going to tackle a really heartfelt issue, and we're talking about violence in schools and specifically gun violence, and that's coming up in issue, can you tell us the number?
Yeah, so Champions 24, which comes out September 10th. Actually, there's a school shooting at Miles Morales' school, Brooklyn Academy, and so we're basically, we're tackling a really difficult subject and showing kind of the aftermath of violence, like what happens to people after something traumatic like that happens in a school. What is the end result of it, and how, as a superhero, would you come out of that? Like, what do you do when, you're Miles Morales, you're Spider-Man, you can't be there, you weren't there when something traumatic happens. So as a superhero, what responsibility, do you have to the people around you if you can't be there 24/7?
That's going to be a touching issue, and probably something really hard to write and dance around. But
it took us months really to develop it, and Sean Isaac, honestly, it's the most beautiful issue he's drawn of the series yet, and he put his all into it, and I'm just really proud that we were able to carry this forward. So
that's awesome. So speaking of pride, I know I talked to you when one of your first image series, Wayward, came out, and you worked with the talented Steve Cummings, and now that series is coming to a close, but you've traveled so far with those characters. What does this feel like to bring the journey to an end? Yeah,
so issue 30, which comes out in October as our final issue, we've been doing the book for 4 years, and it's been an amazing ride. Like, Steven has been such an amazing collaborator, and being able to make a book that has such a rich kind of mythological base and an ensemble cast, and make it exactly the way we would want to. I mean, that's the joy of working at Image, is every book is a passion project. You make these series because you want to. Like, don't get me wrong, I love doing the commercial work, but this isn't a corporate mandate. This is like, we are making the book we've always wanted to.
It's your baby.
Right. And so at every step of it, we are putting ourselves into it, and now taking it to the finish line is like, it's wonderful. It feels really cool because we know that, in November, December, we're going to be able to look back and have this thing complete. And we've, start, middle, and end. We took it all the way we wanted to.
So it's completely the story you wanted to tell, the way you wanted to tell.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about it. Absolutely.
All right, so Jim, I like to ask everybody I interview a couple of personal questions because we are all comic geeks.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you get to take one character from the DC universe and put them in the Marvel universe.
Right.
Who would that be?
I would probably steal Harley Quinn. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's awesome. I wrote a Legends of the Dark Knight story a few years back, and it was a Harley story, and I had an absolute blast. I would pluck her madness and just drop her into
the
Marvel.
MCU.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's cool. And then my other question is there anybody superhero-wise that you haven't had the chance to tackle in your career so far that you'd love to write?
I would have an absolute blast doing Blade. So I would love to have Blade just going on a mad rampage, killing vampires, but also other monsters in the Marvel Universe.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just like cleaning house. If you are the supernatural, you better watch out.
Better watch out.
Yeah.
Okay, well listen, Jim, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. It's always good to see you, and all the best with all your upcoming projects. And guys, Jim's going to tell us where you can find a little bit more about his stuff online.
Yeah, so at jimzub.com, so JIMZUB.com, you can find out about books I'm working on, interviews. I've also got a tutorial section where it's all about how to write for comics, how to pitch your own story ideas, and understand stuff about the publishing industry.
Very cool. And I'd just like to point out to everybody here that Jim is a local Canadian boy, and one of the things we're going to love to do at the Lunchbox is tell you about your great Canadian heroes. And my friend, my brother, Mike Del Mundo, Deadly Mike, the artist of Thor, Elektra, Weird World, is going to give us a moment of his time to talk about what he's working on in the very big MCU. Mike, how you liking Fan Expo this year?
Awesome, man. It's always been a great year. Represent the country, Canada.
Yeah, represent
Toronto.
the 6th, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you're working on Thor. Who's writing that for you?
Jason Aaron, man, the greatest.
Jason Aaron, and this is your second collaboration?
Yep, we worked on Weird World together, and now we're on Thor.
All right. So, what's your favorite thing about drawing Thor?
No, it's just what's cool about Thor right now is it's, as you know, he doesn't have the mighty hammer.
Yes, he was no longer worthy of Mjolnir.
Yeah, so now he's got all these trolls like making all these different hammers for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty fun designing all these new hammers. Every issue has like a new weapon, so it's really cool, man.
And the hammers all have more powers.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so we also know Mike because he does wicked, pop culture, hip-hop covers, lots of references. Let's take a look at this wicked piece we got on your artist table here. And can you tell us a little bit about this jam session?
This one right here?
This one right here.
This is a Mondo exclusive screen print poster based on the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV show. So you got every single character within this whole mishmash of a pizza slice. Right?
It's like, yeah, so let's describe a little bit about it. I'm going to start, we've got the sewer, and then we've got the sewer grate, but tell us how you've gone the design process there.
It's kind of inspired off of, the intro of the TV show.
Yes, I do.
Where they all start blasting out of the sewer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take that and add basically all the characters into it. So inspired by that. So, and you got all the cheese pizza flying around, so it's almost like this big orgy of pepperoni slices.
Yeah, it's a big slice of pizza, and like I said, I can see everybody who was in that cartoon, and they are looking great. All right, so folks, this is Mike Del Mundo. Mike, you tell them where they can find you on the web.
You can find me on @DeadlyMike, DeadlyMike. That's my tag. And if you're looking for me on Facebook, just check my name out, man.
All right, thanks for your time, Mike. Have a great show at Fan Expo.
So you're going to be joining us at Cosplay Confidential. We're going to be talking about kind of the rise of cosplay, how it's really mainstream now, and we will catch you in a second. So welcome to Cosplay Confidential. Today we are going to start discussing kind of the evolution of cosplay, maybe where we started. It was a very small thing at one point, kind of not really popular. People thought it was weird, and now it's such a mainstream, crazy thing.
Big thing with pop culture.
Absolutely. So, so I got my start in cosplay only a few years ago. High school, that's where I started. And my friend introduced me to it, and she was like, hey, there's this cool thing. You dress up outside of Halloween. And I was like, that's a crazy idea to me. Crazy. I say a few years ago, it was more like 4 years ago. I only got into it like maybe last year. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was like, I keep hearing about it, I might as well get started into it. Now, I've always been in the cosplay scene, you know, following other cosplayers, but I never really thought I could do it. But everything is so accessible now, material-wise.
Oh my God, yeah.
Tutorial-wise, it's just so big online.
It's way easier.
It's so
way
easy
easier
to get into.
But I mean, like, before you also did art. Like, you would do concept art, right? And commissions for people. So you already had that in your pocket, which a lot of people don't. So that's kind of nice.
Now, I'm a business student right now, but I was intending to go into graphic design, you know, CGI, stuff like that. So I do have a bit of an artist background, and that's kind of where I get my painting skills from, you know, my whole what looks good. But yeah, how did you get into it?
I got into it, so my first cosplay was back in 2013.
Ooh.
Please don't date me yet. But I learned about it actually in 2010. A student transferred to my school, and I became friends with them in like my science class or something like that. And I learned through them about cosplay, and they essentially did the same thing that you kind of did. You can dress up outside of Halloween, because
Crazy.
I have lived, breathed, and died by Halloween so many times. We would throw Halloween parties with my mom. We would have to reuse and remake costumes because we would be on a tight budget. Take one cloak, 1 year you're a vampire, the next that cloak is a wizard, and then after that you're a half-demon priestess, who knows?
Exactly.
I don't lie.
Now, you had a bit of a fashion history with you.
Yes. To be fair, I've always kind of have my father likes to call it a bipolar fashion sense. One day I'll be in a t-shirt and jeans, the next I'll be in a sparkly sequin skirt, high-heeled strappy pumps, and a crop top with black lipstick.
Queen.
So, and they'll literally be like, the next day, and people are like, wait, what? But yeah, I recently, last year I went into fashion technology and design at a local college here in Toronto. Sadly, I left because it wasn't exactly what I was looking for in fashion and how to upgrade my costuming skills. Also, the 5-week strike didn't help. So, but that's okay, because I plan on taking more nighttime classes and learning a little bit more. Earlier we were talking about, one of the main tools, which is called a serger. The best way to describe a serger machine is it's like a secondary machine to the sewing machine. If you look at, say, like your t-shirt and you see the rolled up with the zigzag on it, that's a serger. It's like a finishing machine, which makes things a little bit smoother, sleeker, and all of it.
It's very interesting how people use their background knowledge to advance their cosplay skills. Like in a previous episode when we were at Fan Expo, we talked to Second Degree Burn. Now, she did all the LEDs and stuff in her shield, so cool, and she has a history with her career with LEDs, and that's how you see people improving lots of things. Like we see people who know robotics, or how to make moving parts, how to build circuits, how to program, stuff like that. They're using their previous knowledge in order to make something crazy. We see moving parts, like there's one cosplayer, I forget her name, but she did a Camille from League of Legends. That's the scissor leg lady.
Oh my God, it was
she
gorgeous.
has these rotating spindles on her hips, and just something so small like that can advance your cosplay by so much.
Just elevates it to the next level. And not only that, but with social media being so much more prevalent, like back in 2010, like Facebook was just there, Instagram was nothing, Snapchat was nothing. We had Twitter though. Who used that? I don't know. But we can share our knowledge now, which has really helped everyone in the community, sharing about the robotics, sharing about the LEDs. Tutorials are so much more accessible now as well. YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. Like, I tell you what, when Worbla first, I'm pretty sure we all kind of learned about Worbla, which is a thermoplastic material, by the way. You heat it up and you can mold it and it adheres to itself and to most surfaces. And then when it cools down tough, hard. Kamui Cosplay, who is one of the largest well-known cosplayers for armor and using the newer cosplay techniques and technologies, that's how I learned about Warpla, and a lot of techniques was from her.
And she's been so prevalent in the community. She has an online store, and she sells so many patterns.
PDFs, books.
Her previous cosplays, she makes specific patterns for, like a base template, which is incredible. She makes it for the purpose of being a template for other cosplayers.
And being universal.
And on top of that, she has other books for LEDs, advanced LEDs. There's so many things that she helps to teach other people, and it's incredible that she does that at a decent price too.
Oh my God, yes.
And we see that a lot with other cosplayers as well, like Kompatsu Cosplay. She has a Patreon for that stuff, giving her patterns of all the cosplays she's working on, and she's throwing them out like crazy. It's incredible what we have access to now.
It is, and it makes life a lot easier now.
All right, so we will be joining Andre for our weekly comic book review, and he will be in the studio for the first time. Ooh, I like that.
And of course, we're gonna be reviewing this bad boy. Apparently I die in this one, which I don't understand why, because Batman's clearly sporting my winning smile. And just FYI, we did interview him, the artist, at Fan Expo in our Part 2 video. So if you want to take a little sneaky peeky, head on over to our YouTube and check that out.
Welcome to the Heroes World comic book review for the Lunchbox. I'm Andre Greenidge, and I'm going to give you just a few comics to peruse this week when you're at your local comic book store. This week was chock full of amazing titles. There was so many amazing books out that it was hard to narrow it down to just 3. But these books are absolutely incredible, and you are definitely going to want to pick up all of them. Marvel Comics brings us Wolverine, The Return #1, and this issue brings us back Logan. But it's not Logan as we know. Wolverine now has what looks like a little bit of amnesia. He knows he's a hero, he knows he's good at what he does, and that's still killing and taking names. But he doesn't know how he got there, what he's doing, and who's done it. He's got some information, he's got a couple of leads, but he's still that hero. He's still gonna help people. The art in this book is fantastic. Steve McNiven draws a wonderful Wolverine. And if you're a classic Wolverine reader, you can take a peek at this book and know that it harkens back to the good Weapon X origin story told by Barry Windsor Smith. Amazing art, interesting writing, and hey, it's the return of Wolverine. What more could you ask for? Supreme Soldier #1 is a combination of Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Doctor Strange to form a Supreme Soldier using arcane powers. This book is super cool. It takes a bit of each origin, combining magic and the Super Soldier Serum to tell a tale back in time in World War II with a story that still has Nazis and still has a version of the Red Skull, but this book is all about fun and magic. We got to talk to Humberto Ramos as he told us how he designed this character, and it is super cool to see this book in action. Adam Kubert does some amazing art, and the action is intense. Plus, you got to check out their version of the Winter Soldier. Another great book from Marvel Comics. This one is only a 2-part series, so make sure you add that to your pull list. The biggest and best book this week has to go to DC's new comic, Batman Damned. This book is the first in their new imprint called Black Label, and it is a tale told by writer Brian Azzarello and amazing artist Lee Bermejo. This book is absolutely beautiful, and the story is chilling. The Joker is found murdered, and Batman has to pursue who has done this. But he's wounded, he's hunted, and he's out looking for clues. This book has so many great cameo appearances, and it's narrated by none other than John Constantine. I gotta tell you, Lee Bermejo has knocked the art out in this book. I have never seen a book so beautiful, and now you will too, because DC has done this in an oversized format. Just look at this book. It is a picture-perfect rendition. It's all painted art, but man, I'm telling you, the story, the art, everything about this book just sends chills down my spine. If this is what DC's Black Label is going to be about, I am totally down with it because this first issue knocked it out of the park. Don't want to give you too many spoilers because you have to read this book. So there you have it, a couple of great books to check out. We had 2 from Marvel and 1 from DC, but that one from DC is bigger and badder, and I gotta say, that's my favorite pick of the week. Hopefully you can get out to your local comic book store, check out all they have to offer, and hey, whatever you like, drop us a comment and let us know.
Well, thank you for joining us at the Lunchbox. I was Rente Cosplay.
And now you're a walrus. And I was Quirky Owl Cosplay, and now I'm the Joker.
Scary. And this is the Lunchbox. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure to catch all our weekly episodes for all the nerdy goodness.
Also, please stay tuned for next week's episode if you want to see how to turn from drab to funny. Please stay tuned.
And we also have coming up The Married Makers.
Ooh.
Now, who are they? They work with Henchman Studios for some amazing
Props.
weapons,
Props, creations.
armor,
Awesomeness.
fantastic. And they work a lot with Overwatch.
Ooh,
And
I'm really
Anthem,
excited.
and a lot of official cosplays. It's fantastic, and highly recommend you go check out that episode.
Come and check us out interviewing them next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.